Peace, everyone. It's Black High Priestess. So, couple days ago, I got a question off of my last upload, and the question was, is there a difference between the Iyamín and Mami Wata, or the person said Mama Wata, which is just as accurate. So is there a difference between the Iyamín and Mami Wata? The answer is yes. I went live on Instagram and did a whole live feed, and it didn't save to my phone. That's happened on a few different occasions. Some of it's censorship, not necessarily my storage. I noticed that when I'm getting more hearts and more likes on my live feeds, and when I'm talking about more, relevant social, political issues in relation to African and Black culture, that I'm unable to save my live feeds. So I want to try and be more consistent. I want to make sure that I answer you all's questions at least within 3 days. But like I said, I want to do my best to be more consistent and also to promote my products and services. So I figured this is a good upload, where I can talk about my mermaids, my sirens, dead girls, brides, and princesses, my spiritual elekis. Also, these are my dead girl earrings. This is damsel, which some of you may already know. I did some uploads about damsel months ago. All right, so without further ado, actually, sorry, I feel like I took notes. If I could find, though, actually, let me hold on for a second. I'm sorry. That's what happens when you go live, y'all, with some of this stuff. That's what happens when you go live. But I had actually taken some notes about this, and I kind of want to find them if I can. I might have threw them away already. Yeah. For the most part, I wish I could find the notes I took. Starting with the Iyamín. The Iyamín is a coven, a sacred coven of sacred mothers, so to speak. Iyamín means, I believe it's a Yoruba language, a Yoruba term. That's kind of the language that I learned a lot of my Vodun practices through Yoruba. I learned about the Orisha and everything, and you got a lot of different cultures, but it's the same ancestors, so to speak, being honored in different languages. So Iyamín, or the Iyamí, two pronunciations depending on your language, is a sacred coven of mothers. Iya essentially means priestess. And the mystery of the Iyamí is that the Iyamí were not wanted on earth because of the feminine powers and the feminine mysteries that the Iyamí hold, are able to empower women in a way that can bring about imbalance on earth, because human women are literally designed to be in subjugation to a man. Human women are designed to be a helpmate to a man. Human women are designed to fall in love with a man and to be infatuated with a man, so to speak, especially after penetration. Human women are designed to nurture and be that other half of procreation. When you're dealing with witches, and the Iyamín are the mysteries of witches, you're dealing with bloodline traits of sacred femininity that aren't always You're dealing with esoteric bloodline traits, but the reason it's esoteric is because sometimes human women may misuse these mysteries and create an imbalance in society. The Iyamín were not wanted on earth for this reason. The ability to empower women outside of the margins of being a mother and a wife and a nurturer. All right. Outside of the social margins, so to speak. The Iyamín were escorted. Those mysteries, those sacred mothers were escorted to Aye, to earth, through a Papa Legba messenger spirit. You know, essentially Olodumare or Ochumare, the creator spirit. In Vodun, what was petitioned several times, and none of the other messenger spirits, male messenger spirits, would escort the Iyamín to earth. So it's so to speak, it's not necessarily to say that the creator didn't want his own creation of sacred mothers and sacred femininity to be accessible. It's just that a lot of the male spirits did not want to escort the Iyamín. And then finally, so to speak, a Legba spirit did that. When you're talking about the Iyamín, you're talking about the coven. And that also deals with Salem. Salem is a city in heaven, and Melchizedek is the king of Salem, making Melchizedek the king of peace, which is what Salem means, translated to English. So that could be to say, if you synchronize biblical mysteries with Yoruba mysteries, Melchizedek would kind of represent that male ancestral spirit, that messenger spirit that escorted the sacred coven of witches of the Iyamín to earth. Salem is a city in heaven. Melchizedek is the king of peace. Christ was the king of, or the prince of peace. And that's why Jerusalem is different than Salem, because Jerusalem, or Jerusalem, Heru meaning that savior spirit in Egypt or Kemetic science, so to speak, Heru representing Christ. Jerusalem is the physical city on earth that was ruled, or to be ruled by, the Prince of Peace. Christ also coming from the lineage of David, who David and Solomon established Jerusalem. Okay. I don't want to give y'all too much, but I want to answer the question as best I can. The Iyamín is the sacred coven of ancient mothers, or high witches, that come from the city Salem, which is located in heaven. Salem and the Salem witch trials are related in that way. And remember, the Salem witch trials were actually started by Tituba, who was a African slave who used Vodun to retaliate against her slave masters, and that her Vodun ritual sparked the onslaught of the Salem witch trials that caused the white men to turn against the white women. I say oftentimes attractive white women that these men were sexually attracted to and looked at as negative because they had that sexuality, so to speak, or a lot of women were accused of witchcraft. I would say few of them probably were actual witches, but it's, you know, it's hard to tell, not being there, in that time. But Salem is very related to witches, and the origin is that Salem is a city in heaven. That city represents where the Iyamín come from. You know what I'm saying? And being escorted. So the Iyamín are the primary colors, red, blue, and yellow, which are represent the female trinity, the sacred femininity, the trinity of sacred femininity, or the trinity of a witch, which is the virgin, the mother, and the crone. Okay. The Iyamín are primarily Oshun, being synchronized with the virgin, Yemaya being synchronized with the mother, and Yansan being synchronized with the crone. Okay, so when you're talking about the Iyamín, you're talking about the sacred, that female trinity. The patriarchal trinity is the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. All right, the Father being the Most High, or Jehovah, the Son being Christ, the red Son that sits on the right hand throne of the Most High, and Papa Legba being the black Son, or the Holy Spirit, the mysteries, the mysterious ways that the Most High works, that sits on the left hand throne of the Most High. When you're talking about the Iyamín, you're talking about the trinity of the virgin, or the maiden, the mother, and the crone, and the different ways that a witch is able to embody that sacred femininity and create formulas with it to, be a woman who rules the marketplace. And that's what the Iyamín can do for witches and priestesses as well. Endow you with the mysteries that allow you to use your craft, or your witchcraft, in order to make money, to be marketable. But traditionally, the African marketplace, which is under the house of Yansan, women ruling the marketplace, is under the house of Yansan, but it's something that the Iyamín represent. That was about the women's ability to nurture a community and create products and services that sustain the community. All right. So I will get into that a little bit more, but again, responding to the question, the Iyamín is a sacred coven of ancient mothers, of mother mysteries, and it represents mothers, not marginalize the aspect of being a mother, but being that ascended mother. In African culture, you would be considered a mother, so to speak, when you ascend to that level of spirituality. It's not just Yemaya. Oshun is the mother of witches. Yemaya is the mother of fishes. Yansan is the mother of nine. We can get into that later in another upload. The difference between the Iyamín and Mami Wata. Mami Wata is potentially in the coven of the Iyamín, but Mami Wata is a Congo Loa. Loa meaning a mystery, typically a mystery of the Orisha. Orisha being the forces of nature, or the source of the mysteries, or of Ashe. Okay. Congo being related to the water. Why do you identify the word witch is a European Germanic term? I'm speaking English, so I'm going to use the word witch. But as you can see, I'm talking about, that was a question I just got. I'm speaking in other languages too, and making those translations. That's an irrelevant, arbitrary question. It has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. the I mean, I could say Aj, but because I'm talking to an English speaking audience, most likely I'm going to communicate in the way that's most effective. Mami Wata is a Congo Loa. She's often synchronized with La Seren. Although they can represent the same spirit, La Seren is different, and they have different mysteries. In my upload, I went into the Patakis and the mysteries of Mami Wata versus La Seren, which is why I'm upset that it wasn't able to upload. But I think the most important thing to understand is that Mami Wata, some mysteries of Mami Wata is that she's a black water mermaid, and she has a black tail, a black mermaid tail. She's a sorceress. Mami Wata, unlike La Seren, is more of a serpent. She's more of a sea serpent, and she's more related to Medusa. Whereas La Seren, who would be more related to the Ibulele, another Congo spirit. La Seren is a Dahomean spirit that is related to Ejuli. La Seren is the origin of Ejuli. La Seren became Ejuli. And there's Patakis that explain, her path. The Little Mermaid is a Grimm story from the Brothers Grimm that actually illustrates the Pataki of La Seren and her relation to Agwe, and her seeking out Mami Wata, who would be related to Ursula, because Mami Wata has the ability to turn mermaids and mermen into humans. And that's what she did with Agwe, who was Mami Wata's lover initially. So these are mysteries. These are Patakis and mysteries. Mami Wata is sometimes depicted with having snake hair. Again, relating her to Medusa. The reason that Mami Wata is, I would synchronize her with Medusa of Greek mythology, so to speak, or Greco-Roman mythology, is because Medusa was in fact known to be a black deity who also lived at the deep depths of the sea. And she studied, she was very studious, and she knew a lot. She held a lot of knowledge and a lot of wisdom, a lot of ancient mysteries. Poseidon fell in love with Mami Wata, or fell in love with Medusa, because he fell in love with her wisdom. Now, Athena was known to be the goddess of wisdom. And I think it's Athena. But Athena actually became jealous and indignant at finding out that Poseidon mated and loved Medusa, because again, there was that element of racism. And Athena supposedly turned Medusa ugly. But the fact of the matter is, Medusa is a Gorgon. And the Gorgons are cousins of the Naga. The Naga are ancient dragons. And remember, African dragons have the Draconis stone. African dragons are the only breed of dragon that have the Draconis stone. And the most ancient dragon is Dambala and Iyamín. Okay. So again, that serpent energy, even though Iyamín, more Haitian, can be associated with Mami Wata, Wedo is more of a sky creation, distinctly dragon deity. Mami Wata is a Congo Loa. Wedo is more of a Rada, meaning air. So, talking about those synchronizations, it's important to understand that, even with the Greek, ancestors of Mount Olympus, which Mount Olympus essentially represents the Caucasus Mountains, where Caucasians are known to originate from, and that is their pantheon. That's the pantheon of deities that people from the Caucasus Mountains worship, because it's related to Mount Olympus. Medusa was never considered a white or a Caucasian deity. She was known to be an African deity, and that is what sparked Athena's envy for Poseidon loving her for her wisdom. And she's depicted as ugly because that's a Eurocentric ideology, that her hair, symbolic of dreadlocks, is hair of a snake, which represents her serpentine origin, her being a Gorgon. The difference between a Gorgon and a Naga is the difference between a serpent, not a snake, a serpent and a dragon. And the difference between a serpent and a dragon is, namely, dragons have wings and pads. Serpents do not. European dragons, wyverns, their hands are connected to their wings. Some other dragons, their wings are more shoulder related, and they have pads that are separate from their wings. Wyverns are European dragons where their hands are connected at the end of their wings sometimes. So Mami Wata, she is an interesting Loa, because she's, like I said, she's looked at as very nurturing and things like that, but she's actually really a sorceress. And trying to think of anything else that's important to say. Like I said, La Seren actually has a different Pataki than Mami Wata, because La Seren actually went to Mami Wata to become Ejuli, to become human. Okay, so when you're talking about the Iyamín, you're talking about the sacred coven, but when you're talking about the Iyamín Osoronga, you're talking about the transformation of a witch. You're talking about the ability of a witch to go from being a mermaid, essentially Oshun, being a virgin, being a mermaid, being a fish woman or a siren, to being a woman, to womanhood, which can sometimes include motherhood, which is that Yemaya aspect, standing on your feet, so to speak, and then to being a bird. Peace, Kushite Prince. Thank you. Yeah, I'm responding to a question, and like I said, whenever you all have questions, if you make a donation, I'll give you a private session and let you know how that question relates to you and your spirituality and your spiritual heritage. If not, I'll do a live upload so other people can learn from your questions. So when you're talking about the Iyamín Osoronga, you're talking about essentially the main presiding mother spirit that is the witch that turns into a bird. That's related to Ibukule, but it is the mystery of the Iyamín, the ability to transform. And the Osoronga represents that transformation that witches can do. You know, sometimes it's not always a bird. You know, some witches can skin change in different ways, but essentially in the African tradition, so to speak, witches are you know, women who can turn into birds. Within the coven of the Iyamín, you have, like I said, the primary trinity, Oshun, Yemaya, Yansan. Oshun represents honey or fresh water that nourishes your body. Yemaya represents salt water or water in general, but salt water especially, that cleanses and heals your body. Okay. Salt and water are also essential in your biology just as much as fresh water for drinking. Remember, salt is used to alkalinize water too. So if you really think about it, Yemaya's form of water is not separate from nourishing the body, but it contributes by also nourishing the spirit. And Yemaya represents that psychic ability to feel with empathy the water and the blood and how it flows in someone's body, and to understand a person's emotions through the water composition and structure. You can speak into water and change the molecular structure of water. Peace, Sakai. All right, I see you got it going on. You got the tornado there and the heart for Yemaya and the flower and the sunflower. That I love it. So again, Oshun representing honey or fresh water or sweet water. Yemaya representing salt water and the ability to, you know, Oshun has the ability to attract. Yemaya has the ability to empathize, you know, as oracle. And then Yansan represents blood, which, you know, hemoglobin, hemo, whatever. It's composed of water too. But Yansan represents the blood of the woman. And if anyone knows the Patakis of Yansan, you know that at one point she lost her blood. Ogun cursed her and caused her to lose her blood. And, you know, eventually she got it back after she was kind of done dealing with Shango, which is why Ogun was pissed off anyway. But if he was giving Yansan the attention, I don't want to get too much into it. That's a whole nother upload. But Yansan represents menstrual blood, and she's very connected to a woman's menstrual blood. And that menstrual blood is what empowers a woman, particularly a witch, to create destruction or rebirth. You know, Yansan represents the womb and the tomb being held, the ability to give life or death, you know. And again, that's essentially either your egg gets fertilized that month or it turns into menstrual blood, you know. So Oshun represents the aspect of the Iyamín that is loved. Yemaya represents the aspect of the Iyamín, or the aspect of the witch that is respected. That's because she gives oracle divinations and counseling and things like that that come, you know, she as oracle, she's inseminated by the Most High with divination. And ironically, that makes her role more related to sexual abstinence than the virgin. Oshun, or the virgin aspect of the female trinity, is not about abstaining from sex. It's about abstaining from pregnancy. That's the ancient definition of a virgin. It was not abstaining from sex. It was abstaining from pregnancy, because not being pregnant allowed the virgin to do the things under the mystery of the virgin, namely being a huntress, you know, and certain crafts that required the absence of a male influence, so to speak. Yemaya, like I said, you know, having to be a temple for the Most High, even though she's the mother, she being an oracle or having that aspect of a witch, she would be the one who would need to remain sexually pure, so to speak. Again, another upload. Yansan represents the aspect of the witch that is feared. That is because Yansan, through the power of the menstrual blood and the physical changes that comes with menstruating, that represent spiritual, psychological changes that a woman goes through and must go through on a lunar basis, monthly for some, lunar more so. And that deals with the emotional purging, which is very important for women now in this day and age, being in, dare I say, male dominated society with all this, socialism and feminism going on. I don't want to get into how things are, the direction society is moving in, but understand that men benefit from effeminizing other men. Women do not benefit from men being effeminized. Women do not benefit from feminism. You know who benefits from feminism? Men in power, namely white men in power, who seek to effeminize any masculine threat to their position of power, namely Black men who are mass incarcerated disproportionately to white men. So the feminism agenda is perpetuated by men who want to maintain their power and eliminate any threat that a masculine warrior would present to his nation. The feminism is a new world order agenda that benefits men in power, does not benefit women at all whatsoever. Like I was saying, Yansan being the aspect of the witch that is feared, that is because Yansan, through blood, she's able to create destruction. And a lot of times that destruction represents justice. And the mysteries of Yansan deal with the barons who rule the graveyard. The barons, the Gedes, Mama Bridget. They rule the graveyard because Yansan is the mother of 9 Egungun that she had by Ogun. And the Egungun are sacred spirits as well that, kind of represent your Vodun heritage. And Yansan being connected to the graveyard, the cemetery, and the afterlife, she's also feared because she holds the mysteries of the spirits of the dead that she wields as an army that brings justice. Yansan is the aspect of the witch that brings justice to men who abuse their position of power. And when I say the position of power, I'm talking about being ordained by the Most High as being created first in the image of the Most High and being ordained to be the head of the household and the head of the woman and of the land. Yansan's aspect, that blood aspect of being a witch, is able to bring men to justice, women too, of course. But when we're talking about the sacred femininity, Yansan is the aspect that is called on and embodied when a woman has been scorned or misused, raped, abused, done wrong by, cheated on, or done wrong by men or the man in her life that she's committed to. Oshun is good, is a good mystery to embody when you're combating female dominance and when you're trying to clear away female envy and things like that. But Yansan is the aspect of the witch that's feared because Yansan can compete and contend with masculinity head on. She's known to be a better warrior than our male Orisha. Now, I'm not going to say better than Ogun, but there's a reason that Shango doesn't go to war without Yansan. So I hope this answers the question. Like I said, I did a great upload explaining a lot of things. It didn't quite, I wasn't able to save it, but I wanted to touch on those topics. I might start a series. I kind of thought that the way I titled this, I can do an Iyamín series and go through the different ancestral spirits, the different ancestral mothers across cultures that are in the coven of the Iyamín. But I want you to understand that the Iyamín is the primary mysteries of the female trinity that a witch can embody, that a witch is endowed with. Bless you don't like the term witch, which that kind of speaks a lot, but well, I won't say you didn't like it, you questioned it. But that is what having this connection to Iyamín is. It's about being a woman who is gifted and a woman who is a daughter of the craft. All right. And since you asked, and like I said, these are mysteries, you know what I'm saying? But so some of these things I might repeat in my uploads because they're very important mysteries. But the Aj are the order of female witches, the order of the women of power in Vodun, in Yoruba. The Ajogun are the order of warlocks. And when I say warlocks, I mean warlocks. I'm not talking about just a male mage. I'm talking about the ones who go to war. The Ajay are essentially kind of like an army, but it's more of a feminine principle. They are the women of power. The Ajogun are, the masculine counterparts who are male warlocks, male warrior spirits who have their own sacred coven, their own group. And that would include, Eshu, Ogun, Ochosi, different other warrior spirits, Los Guerreros. So that is, if you want to use another language or another interpretation of essentially what it means to be a witch. Not a new age witch. We're not talking about Wicca. We're not talking about religion. We're not talking about white supremacist appropriation of ancient old age heritage. We're talking about the bloodline traits of being a witch. It has to do with having uncanny powers, uncanny gifts, and mysteries of the Iyamín, In terms of the women who turn into birds, like I said, I might start doing a series, like I did the Hatred of Black Women series, that I started around this time last year. I might continue and go through different ancestral mothers that are in the Iyamín, that across different cultures in Africa or in other continents, that women of power call on, who belong to the same coven, even though they deal with different bloodline traits. I talk about being Scottish. My last name is Scottish in origin. The Morrigan is a sacred mother that, women going through Scottish rites, or that, of the British Isles, so to speak, and of Albion, and, women who deal with that bloodline trait or those traditional customs may receive the Morrigan, the Morrigan or the Morrigan. And she is, one of the women, one of the sorceresses who turns into a bird. And she's often represented by black birds of prey or death birds. And the Morrigan is something that you can receive when you know are ready to gain that esoteric knowledge, that esoteric wisdom, and the rites of passage that come with being a woman who is gaining the wisdom of sacred femininity. And a lot of times it's not all glitz, it's not all glamour, it's not all divination. When you get to that Yansan, that Iyamín or Soronga energy, you're dealing with some harsh realities that come with being a black woman. And when I'm black in this case, I'm talking about the actual color. I'm not talking about necessarily an African woman. Black, it deals with witchcraft because black is composed of everything. Black lacks nothing. And when you hold the weight and the gravity, root word of gravity being grave, when you hold that grave energy, that gravity of black energy, you're going to experience things as a woman, as a witch, that shows society's fear of blackness and women of power. That translates to being a black woman in phenotype, being an genetically dominant woman in phenotype, and how society looks at darker skinned women. Or in America, sometimes your skin doesn't have to be dark. You just have to have African genetics, or an Afrocentric phenotype in some way. And there's a level of fear, and that even from our own men, that comes with having darker skin as a woman. That, blackness is something very relative to witches. And one of the reasons a lot of witches wear black, not all witches, but witches who tend to wear black are high empaths. And we block out the all of the wavelengths and energies and auras that we can pick up on as high empaths. So we have to wear black to block away those energies so we can function in society, So, I hope that I answered the question. I don't want to make this too long, but please answer, ask more questions. I answer the question why I identify with the word witch. The word witch has a level of power to it, and it using the word witch is one of the best ways to determine whether or not a woman is a blood-born witch, or if she's just a new age Wiccan, or a new age dabbler, so to speak. Not having an adverse reaction to the word witch shows your open-mindedness to sacred femininity, to the spirit realm, to the esoteric and the arcane. It shows your ability to not go along with social norms and constrictions that are placed on people, women, and women of color, people of color too. Blessed and highly favored, feel free to check out my last upload where I responded to the question, why do I say that witch is the root word of craft? That will answer your question. I already did an upload on that, blessed and highly favored. So, I would say go check out that upload, and that will answer your question a lot more accurately. Can you share your thoughts on initiation into the mothers? Well, that's something I can do another upload on, talking about voodoo initiation. But for Sakai, initiation into the mothers, they will come to you, and that's with any, especially African spiritual initiations. Initiation means initiating something, which means to begin. So if you are a beginner, or if you're an initiate really means a beginner. You know, that's why I use the word activated in the craft, because most initiates are dabblers who pay for their initiation because they didn't have bloodline. It wasn't within them. It was extrinsic. When these things are in your blood, you know, you can be open to receiving activations. But if you don't have bloodline traits of witchcraft, you know, I mean, just do what other initiates do. Go read a book about it. Go study about it. You know, ask people about it. But, you know, initiation means beginning. And what I deal with are the bloodline traits, which deal with expressing what's in your heritage, because heritage means what you inherit. Heritage is different from a custom and a tradition. Customs deal with, you know, cultural norms. Traditions deal with same thing, the norms that are practiced, the traditions that are practiced. Heritage is what you directly inherit. And like I said, these are bloodline traits. Again, that also goes into why I say witch is the root word of craft. But initiation into the mothers, they will come to you, and they will reveal themselves to you. When I knew about the Iyamín, but when I first received the Iyamín, it came through a YouTube video showing up for me that had never shown up for me, and that video showed me images of the Iyamín in the coven, of the mostly the African ones, and it showed me, you know, images and artwork that represent each of the Iyamín that I was already familiar with, each of these female spirits that I had already been mounted by, been activated by, and learned the Batakis of from them. But this video showed me who they were. And then, you know, that video later got deleted, later got taken down. So in terms of my thoughts, hold on. That's what you were hoping to hear? Yeah, I wouldn't mind. I like to do my tea time with Black High Priestess. I was doing on Facebook. You know, I got different forums, but I'm trying to be consistent. Sakai, for people who may be initiates, or people who are dabbling or interested, or things are starting to happen where you're being influenced spiritually, not by other people. You got to deal with the spirits. Like I said, if Papa Legba doesn't show up in your life, you know, that's how you get initiated into Vodun in that sense, through Papa Legba, regardless. And I mentioned this in another upload. Papa Legba and Yemaya together will show up, you know, as sacred father and sacred mother of Vodun. And but for initiates, so to speak, you will be learning deeper mysteries of your house. I'm under the house of Oshun, but as High Priestess or Olorisha or Iyalorisha, Oshun is not the only mystery I deal with. I embody mysteries in the context of Oshun, so to speak, in the context of that. But initiation into the Iyamín is directly related to understanding Oshun, Yemaya, and Yansan separately, and how they work together as a whole. Not just understanding one of them, but understanding yellow, blue, and red, the energies, the source of those colors, of those powers of those orisha. That is initiation into the sacred mothers, understanding the Trinity. And again, a witch embodies the Trinity. You know, you may be a Oma Oshun, you may be a daughter of one of them. And like I said, in other cultures, you may have women of other ethnicities who have other Iyamín. Tlatzolteotl. Tlatzolteotl is she Incan or Aztec? Tlatzolteotl is another Iyamín, so to speak, and she is kind of like the goddess of filth. I feel like she's Incan, but maybe Aztec. I gotta freshen up on some of these things, but I'm just giving an example of how women of other cultures have access to the Iyamín through their ancestral heritage and their sacred mothers and their heritage and their nation being in the coven with Oshun, Yemaya, and Yansan. You know, so certain ancestors in the coven of the Iyamín may come to you and initiate you. But in general, it's important to understand Oshun, Yemaya, and Yansan. If you're not an African woman, you can understand the Virgin, the Mother, and the Crone Trinity, but the Iyamín are the most ancient mothers, and that deals with the most ancient genetic. So that's why I said there's other ancestral mothers that are in the coven with the Iyamín, but the Iyamín themselves are the African source of sacred femininity. And that is important for women across all cultures to understand, regardless of what your phenotype is. You are dealing with the sacred femininity. And we all know that the African woman is the source of human life, along with the African phallus, the womb and the phallus. You know, and that's where you get the ankh from, the womb being balanced on the phallus. Unlike Catholicism, which creates homoeroticism by eliminating the womb and putting two phalluses together. All right. And, you know, so I think I'm going to stop here. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Please keep your questions coming because it helps me talk about things that are interesting to my audience. And it helps me, you know, focus on, you know, different subjects instead of, like I said, instead of just, you know, ranting and giving commentary about current events and things like that. Sakai, we're going to have some a coffee tea chat one day. All right, everyone. Peace and love.